Hello and good morning, or whatever time of day this video finds you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. My name is Janine, and I'm coming to you from Antigua, Guatemala. I just got here a couple days ago, so I'm still adjusting, still in the transitional period of getting used to a new place. And I find through this process, the best way to stay grounded and really connected to myself is through my yoga practice, through mindful movement and breath. Oftentimes when we're in these adjustments or transitions, we can become very up in the air or hyper or excited or nervous. So this is my invitation for you to slow down through this practice, to connect with your breath through your movement, and to just ground yourself and to ask yourself what it is that you need through this process. And always remembering to take this at your own pace, whatever that is for you. So let's get started. If you haven't already, find yourself in a comfortable seat, however that looks for you. Maybe inhaling as you roll your shoulders up towards your ears and exhaling as you allow them to fall back behind you. Just settling into your space, maybe giving yourself a couple wiggles and movements just to help yourself settle so you can find stillness for a few moments. Feeling both of your sit bones rooting into the earth beneath you and letting that be your anchor to grow your spine nice and tall like a tree. And from here, if you would like, I'll invite you to bring both your palms to either side of you with your fingertips touching the earth, visualizing each fingertip rooting energy down into the ground like the roots of a tree, connecting you to the here and now, to the space you're in, allowing for these roots to help you feel stable and grounded throughout your practice. Beginning to deepen your breath now. When you're ready, you can begin to bring some movement into your body, swaying your torso side to side, maybe keeping your fingertips on the earth if that feels good to you. Just beginning to wake up the spine here, bringing some fluidity into the movement. You can come into a few torso circles from here, some Sufi grinds, starting in either direction, moving as quickly or slowly as you like. Maybe inhaling as you come forward and exhaling as you come back. Pushing into the knees for leverage here. Completing one more circle as you bring yourself to center. And inhaling as you reach your arms up and overhead, palms touch. And exhale as you begin to twist over to your right hand side, bringing your left palm to your right knee and your right hand back behind you. You can begin to lift your right hand up and overhead, coming into a lateral stretch, just finding fluidity and movement here as you bring your hand back behind you, maybe on your exhale, and inhale as you reach it up and over, just flowing like this, following your movement with your breath. Allowing your left hand to hold onto your knee for stability as you reach your right hand overhead, finding length on that right side body, opening up in the lateral lines. Just allow this to be organic and fluid so your body is getting movement and no rigidity. Completing one more round as we inhale our hands up towards the sky, your palms touch overhead, and exhale as you begin to twist over to your left hand side, bringing your right hand to your knee and your left hand back behind you. Seeing how it feels to flow between those movements on this side now, inhaling as you reach up and exhaling as you bring your hand back. Maybe your fingertips just brush to the earth beneath you. Inhaling as you reach up again and exhaling as you bring it back. Just breathing into the stretch and opening up the left side of our body here. Allowing for yourself to flow and move with your breath. Completing one more round in this twisted side body stretch. On your next inhale, floating your hands up towards the sky, and exhaling as you bring them out in front of you, planting both palms and setting yourself up for tabletop. From here, I encourage just a little fluid, organic movement in the spine, just moving side to side or in a circular motion or however you're called to. Coming to center, inhale as you drop the belly looking up, and exhale as you round the spine, chin to chest, and begin to drop your hips towards your heels, coming into a active child's pose here. Keeping that cat-like shape in the spine, you're going to inhale as you begin to lift yourself up, leading with the back of the heart, and exhale as you drop the belly, coming into that cow shape. Staying here on your inhale, and exhale as you push yourself back, coming into that child's pose. Now you're going to flow between these two movements at your own pace, following your breath again. Remembering to lead with the back of the heart, so you're really accentuating the spine here. Now as you find yourself back into your child's pose, we're going to stay here, just wiggling out the torso a couple times, inhaling as you lift the chest, and exhale, you can walk your hands forward, resting your forehead onto the mat. From here, we're just going to walk our hands over to the right hand side, coming into a side body stretch once again. So your torso is now relaxed over your right thigh, maybe putting your left hand over top of the right, and just feeling that length all down the left side body. Just tracing your breath here, in through the nose and out through the nose or the mouth. On your next inhale, we'll begin to lift our torso up, walking your hands back towards the center, and then all the way over to your left hand side. Now draping your chest over top of the left thigh, and maybe crossing your right hand to stack on top of your left, relaxing the forehead down onto the mat. And again, just coming into the breath, tracing those inhales and those exhales, and letting your hips be heavy here. And on your next inhale, you can begin to lift up the torso, slowly walking your hands back to center, puffing up the back of the chest to roll yourself forward into that tabletop, tucking your toes and dropping the belly as you inhale into that cow, and exhale, let's bend the knees and push ourselves up into a downward facing dog. Just pedaling out the feet here, bending one knee at a time, pushing equally into both hands and allowing for your neck to be heavy and your head to be heavy here. Maybe shaking out the head here just to find some extra release. And slowly you can begin to walk your feet forward to the top of the mat, finding yourself in a forward fold, Uttanasana. Maybe starting out with a big bend in the knees and just pulsing your torso a little bit to find a bit of bounce here. We're going to inhale as we come into a halfway lift with a flat back. Gaze looks just a few inches forward. Exhaling as you come back into your fold. Doing this a couple times, inhaling into your halfway lift. Maybe your palms find your shin or the earth, and exhaling as you fold. One more time, inhaling into that halfway lift, flat back, and exhale, forward fold. From here, let's begin to slowly round ourselves up to stand, encouraging you to bring in a little bounce, a little movement, just to feel into the back line of the body, to open up any fascia that might be restricted and tight. Finding yourself standing at the top of your mat into Tadasana, mountain pose. Let's inhale the hands up towards the sky. Exhale, bring it down to heart center. Right away again, inhaling as you round your hands up to the sky. And exhale, we're going to begin to tilt ourselves over to the left-hand side, coming into another lateral stretch on the right side body. Maybe keeping your hands in a prayer pose, a little bend at the elbows, encouraging some bounce here. Then inhale as you come center, and right away exhale over to the other side, feeling that length now in the left side body. We'll inhale as we come center, exhale to the heart, and right away let's inhale our hands back up to the sky, holding on to our right wrist this time as we lean back over to the left, feeling that length one more time in the right side body. Following your breath, let's inhale as we come center, and exhale, grabbing onto the left wrist this time and leaning over to the right. Breathing here. We'll inhale back to center and exhale as we begin to dive forward, coming into that forward fold. Finding that halfway lift on your inhale, feeling engagement here. Exhale as you fold, plant your hands to the mat and begin to walk your feet back into your downward dog from here. Really push into those hands, creating a nice long line from your hands to your hips, bending at the knees. We're going to inhale as we bend deeply into the knees, almost bringing them to the mat. And then exhale as we begin to lengthen them back into your down dog. Do this one more time, bend at the knees, bringing them down, and exhale as you push back into that downward dog. Well, inhale as we begin to roll forward, dropping your knees, coming into that tabletop, right away getting into that cow pose, and exhale as you puff up the chest and begin to drop your hips to your heels into that child's pose, just like before. Keeping active here as you begin to roll and round yourself forward. This time we're going to bend our elbows and begin to lower our chest down towards the mat so your belly finds the earth here. Maybe wiggle yourself back if you need to. And from here, bring both hands on either side of your mat. Begin to root your fingertips into the earth and push into your hands so much your chest lifts up, coming into Bhujangasana. This is Cobra pose. We're going to flow like this as you exhale, bringing your chest back down to the mat. And inhale as you push up, coming into this mini back bend Cobra pose. One more time, moving with your breath. Once you find yourself back onto the earth, let's bring our hands back underneath our shoulders, and we'll begin to push ourselves up onto our knees, tucking our toes, pushing your hips to your heels, and right away, push it back into your downward facing dog. Begin to walk your feet forward to the top of the mat, finding yourself back in Uttanasana. We'll come into some halfway lift variations this time. So as you inhale, begin to lift up into your halfway lift. Maybe this time extending the arms out in airplane, squeezing the scapula. Exhale as you fold forward. Inhale again, maybe bringing your palms towards your heart in prayer pose, then exhaling into your fold. Inhale back into your halfway lift, your choice, and exhale, fold. This time, let's clasp our hands back behind us and lengthen our arms so we're getting this nice big shoulder opening here in our fold. Breathing into this big stretch. And you can exhale to release, beginning to roll yourself back up to standing, taking your time here, one vertebra at a time, finding yourself into Tadasana, mountain pose, rooting your feet equally into the ground. From here, we're going to set ourselves up for a balancing pose. So rooting and feeling that stability in your right foot, go ahead and lift up your left foot and take the sole of the foot, planting it in the inside of the right thigh. We're coming into Vrikshasana, tree pose here. Push your thigh and your foot equally into one another for balance. You can go ahead and bring your hands to heart center if this feels good. Find a point of focus or a drishti somewhere out in front of you that's not moving. And maybe if you're feeling stable, you can play with bringing your hands up and overhead, swaying your arms side to side, or doing intuitively whatever feels good to you, and just playing with the balance here. Being kind to yourself if you fall out of it or you're feeling shaky or wiggly. Maybe letting this be a reminder that life sometimes is shaky, but we can always come back to ourselves and our breath. Let's release this now by bringing our leg out in front of us, planting the foot back down onto the earth, shaking it out a minute, and let's right away inhale those hands up towards the sky and pour forward as you find your fold. Inhale with your halfway lift, maybe airplane arms, and exhale as you plant your hands and you step yourself back into your downward facing dog. Full round of breath here, in through the nose, and exhale, let's drop our knees to the mat, dropping your belly in that cow pose, and exhale, rounding the spine, sinking your hips to your heels into that child's pose. Getting ready on your next inhale to puff the back of the heart center forward as you roll onto your knees, dropping your belly into that cow, and exhaling this time, let's lower ourselves all the way down onto our bellies. This time we're going to set ourselves up for Sphinx pose. So bring both your forearms out in front of you and maybe see how it feels to pick up each leg and just pull it back a little just to create a bit more space here and opening for the lower back. Push equally into both palms, both forearms to open your chest up into a mini back bend and big heart opener here. Your gaze looks forward and just breathing, taking a couple rounds in through the nose, maybe out through the mouth. If you'd like, on each inhale, maybe gazing over your shoulder, bringing it back to center, and then gazing over the other, just finding a bit of length in your neck here. Think about pushing into your pelvis while you're doing this as well, pushing into the tops of the feet equally, so there's lots of points of contact here. Taking one more round of breath, as we begin to bring both of our hands over top of one another, widening the elbows and just lowering yourself so your forehead is now stacked over top of your hands. And let's just wiggle out the hips here to find a little bit of release for that lower back. Just taking a few moments of rest and release here after that big heart opener. On your next inhale, you can begin to lift yourself up, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, tucking your toes and pushing yourself onto your knees, hips to heels, before you bring those hips nice and high, pushing yourself into your downward facing dog. And from here, just like before, begin to walk yourself forward to the top of the mat, coming into your fold. Just noticing here if perhaps this fold feels a bit more open than the beginning of our practice. When you're ready, you can inhale into your halfway lift, your choice. Exhale into your fold. We'll do that a couple times. So inhale your halfway lift, variation of your choice, and exhale, fold. This time, let's inhale as we roll ourselves up to standing. Your neck and your head are last to come up. and you found yourself in your Tadasana mountain pose, we're going to set ourselves up for that Vrikshasana tree pose on the other side. So really planting into your left foot this time, feeling that stability as if you're growing roots below your foot. And you can inhale as you reach your right foot up and place the sole of the foot on the inside of your left thigh, pushing your knee nice and open, pushing your foot and your thigh equally into one another, bringing your hands to your heart or maybe back over your head if you wanted to play with that variation in your balance again. So grounding yourself from the bottom up, allowing your spine to grow nice and tall like a tree. Maybe sway your arms as if your branches swaying in the wind. Maybe allowing for the trees to be our inspiration, to stay grounded, to stay steady, even through the shaky moments in life. And when you're ready, go ahead and release that, bringing your foot back out in front of you, placing it onto the earth, shaking your feet and your legs out for just a moment. Then on your inhale, let's come into that upward salute, inhaling your hands up, and exhale, pour forward into Uttanasana, finding your fold. Let's right away step ourselves back into our final downward facing dog. Maybe bending deeply into each knee before we roll forward onto our knees in that tabletop, dropping your belly, lifting your gaze in your cow, and exhale back and down into your Balasana child's pose. This time let's bring our knees wide and set ourselves up for just a few moments of rest here, relaxing your forehead onto the mat, allowing your hips to be nice and heavy here. Maybe visualizing once again all of your fingertips rooting down and connecting into the earth, grounding you here in this space. And just connecting with your breath here, checking in. When you're ready, on your next inhale, you can begin to slowly push yourself back up, sitting yourself up onto your heels, and just bringing your hands back behind you for a moment, tenting your fingertips once again so your fingers are pushing into the earth, really feeling that connection. Taking a round of breath before you walk yourself forward. And just find yourself onto the mat, onto your bum here. We're going to come into Janu Shirshasana. So go ahead and bring your right sole of the foot on the inside of the left leg, extending that left leg out nice and long. From here, just find stability and root both of your sit bones into the earth, growing nice and tall here. And just feel that external rotation happening in the left hip here. When you're ready, you can place your left palm to the inside of your left leg and go ahead and inhale as you reach your arm up and overhead. And maybe just flowing here, kind of like we did at the beginning of practice. Exhaling as you bring your hand back behind you, and inhaling as you bring it up and overhead. Maybe bending at the elbow or keeping your hand nice and long, but just doing whatever feels good to you here, just feeling that opening on the right side body. Taking a few rounds of breath here just to flow. Or if you would like to stay static, then you are more than welcome to do that as well, and to just breathe into this big opening. Inhale as you bring yourself back to center, opening your arms nice and big into a T, squeezing that scapula, and exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. Let's cross our left foot, so we're coming into a cross-legged as we open up the right side and we come into Janu on the other side now. So finding length in your right leg, keeping it as little or as big of a bend in your knee as you need to here as well. And just feel into this opening, maybe see the difference of how this side feels compared to the last. Really rooting into your sit bones here, even tucking your pelvis slightly. When you're ready, you can place your right hand to the inside of your right leg, and you can inhale your left arm up and overhead, coming into that flow. Exhaling as you bring your hand back, and inhaling as you bring it up and over. Just seeing how this opening feels on your left side body, and just taking your time as you breathe here. See if maybe you can rotate your chest so it's facing towards the sky and opening up your heart just a little more. And on your next inhale, let's open our arms nice and wide, coming into that T, really squeezing the shoulder blades and opening up the chest. Maybe even your gaze looks up. And exhale, let's bring your hands all the way into your center at your heart. And just getting into any last minute wiggles that the spine might be craving, just intuitively feeling into it, moving your shoulder blades in any direction, coming into circular motions if that feels good, forward and back. When you're ready, you can find yourself in stillness, growing your spine nice and tall, rooting those sit bones down, maybe relaxing your shoulder blades back behind you, tucking your chin slightly, and just taking a moment in a seated meditation here before we close our practice. And if you would like to bring your fingertips back onto the earth for this final symbolization of connecting yourself and grounding to the earth beneath you, then I'll invite you to here. Otherwise, you can keep your hands on your lap or your knees, or wherever feels good to you. Maybe closing down the eyes if that feels comfortable, or just creating a heaviness beneath your eyelids. So I'll invite you now for just a minute or two to fully, completely trace each inhale and exhale, just to allow yourself to fully come into these final minutes of practice. And any time that your mind wanders, which it very well could, and that's okay, just bring yourself back to the breath. Beginning to come back to your natural rhythm of breath, to come back into the space, your surroundings. You can bring your hands to your heart center here, and just taking a moment to appreciate and to thank yourself for taking this time for you. Closing your practice in whatever way feels good to you, maybe bowing your chin towards your chest and saying namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for joining me for this practice. I hope that this felt good in your body and you were able to come back home to yourself and feel more grounded. I'm sending you so much love. If you liked this video, then please comment, like, share with your friends or family, and I hope to see you in the next one.